Welcome to Life Changes Channel. I'm Dina Court, the host of this podcast. And one of the series that I have on the podcast is called Divorce Diaries. This is where you will meet other people who have been through a divorce or a separation, and they've learned some lessons that they want to share. They want to encourage you. They want to help you so at least you feel that you aren't alone, that you aren't the only one struggling with some of these issues. And what I really love is that it's encouraging, it's inspiring, in some cases, very entertaining. So please go back and check the other episodes in the Divorce Diaries series, and I'm sure you're going to hear from people that you can relate to. Today's special guest is Stella. What a beautiful, beautiful soul. She has the most caring heart, and what she is bringing to a community that she's creating online is encouragement and support that really help people to feel like someone cares, like they're just getting this big warm hug of encouragement and support. Now, she struggled with some very unique situations that are something that she had to learn to navigate. Now, not only was she new to Canada, she had other cultural norms that she had to really explore and to understand and to navigate, to understand how she could deal with a divorce and the changes that her life were going through. But what's so beautiful is it doesn't matter what culture you come from. These lessons can be applied and we can learn from each other. We can learn to care and cross these cultural barriers that we have in our own minds that aren't necessary. We can really all be part of a community that cares and supports each other. I'm really excited for you to meet her. So let's jump into that conversation right now. Welcome, Stella, beautiful friend of mine. I am so happy to have you on the show today and just excited for everyone to hear of the journey that you have started because it's ongoing. What led you, besides your big heart, to do this? And tell us your story. Tell us your why. Let us know, who is Stella?
Thank you very much, Dina, from Divorce Magazine Canada. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for letting me share my story, share what I believe we can do to help humanity, help relationships. Just like Dina has said, my name is Stella, just like keeping it simple. Um, I'm married and been married for many years, over 20 years. Um, I'm in the nursing profession and I'm into human relationship. Let's make it short that way. So my why is that in my community, and like all of you know too, in a lot of communities, relationships are going through a lot of challenges. Again, due to our own personal expectations, due to cultural diversities that nothing preps us to really be culturally sensitive to other people or really understanding what it is in other places. So a lot of immigrants. I mean, I usually say that a lot of human beings are immigrants, like we migrate from one place to the other. But we come from different cultures. We come from different backgrounds. So for me, I came from Nigeria. And as we can actually see, when you leave, well, even if from in Canada here, if you leave from Edmonton, Alberta, to go to live in, let's say, Newfoundland, you find out that there are some cultural differences too that exist. So that's Canada to Canada, right?
Right.
So imagine somebody coming from Nigeria, which is in West Africa, to Canada, and you're married, and you come to an environment where the system itself is different from a system where you grew up, where you got married. So that on its own have a pressure, excuse me, on your relationship, right?
Definitely.
So my
Definitely.
why is that because I noted many people are struggling, and COVID didn't make life easy in any form or manner for all of us.
Oh,
So many
yeah.
people are struggling, many relationships are going through a lot of situations. So I watched and I observed and I listened and I talked with many people and I find out that they are struggling. They are trying to live a kind of marital life that existed back home in Canada. There's nothing wrong with the way we lived because the man provided, went to work, and the wife took care of the family for the most part. That doesn't mean that the woman doesn't work. They do work. But a lot of time we have family support all around us. In my case right now, I don't have any other family support other than my husband. So that means everything we have to do as a family, we have to plan, we have to communicate, we have to agree, and then juggle through it. So that have a lot of pressure on your relationship if you don't really understand that it's not necessarily that you both of you um, are not agreeing because of your personal differences, but because of the um, differences in the culture where you find yourself or where you immigrated to, where you live. So that is my why. My why is now, how do I come in to speak and to advise and to guide my people and other people because it's open to all. Relationship is open to every human being. And all we want is the best relationship where we feel fulfilled, right? Where we feel happy, where we feel belonged. I think that is what all of us are seeking for. So what I'm doing is being that person in the middle, being that advisor to say, we can do it this way. We can learn about the culture where we live and also take some of the culture, things that are good where we come from, and integrate these two cultures in our relationship, merge them. So that way, it can be much easier for us to live together happily, prosper, and raise our kids. That's my why. I just want to see people happy and living
Stella,
together.
it's beautiful. Oh my goodness. I want to unpack this a little bit because uh, judgment, so much judgment that we experience or that we catch ourselves. We judge or we realize maybe judge is too strong a word, but we have preconceived notions about other people, whether they're from our culture or not from our culture, or they're from our country or not from our country, or our part of the country. Like you pointed out, we can even within our own country experience different cultures and different norms and different standards, you could say, even of what's expected. Like you gave the example with in a marriage, that has even changed by generation, let alone location. So as things change and evolve, it's really important that we stop and examine what our stereotypes are or what our assumptions are and how we're judging others against that. So that is really amazing. But this beautiful point that you just made, and I just felt a light bulb go off where it's a struggle right now. And we don't know what we're allowed to, we're hearing about like cultural appropriation. So if I sing a song that is from your culture, someone might be offended because I'm acting like I'm from your culture. And I think what you said, where if there's a beautiful song, let's say in your culture, and I want to sing it, that is a beautiful compliment to your culture. And it's a way of taking, so if you put that in relationships, what is so positive from your learning, what you grew up with, what you've seen, what your people have taught you through love, and what you're recognizing in my culture. Say if you're new to my world for some reason, and you're like, oh, I love how these people interact, or I love this tradition, or I love whatever it is. Let's
Mm.
integrate that. Let's make that a beautiful partnership and take what's good from each. And on the other hand, if we know that there's things that we've experienced that aren't positive, or that we see on the other side, and we can encourage, and that's what you're doing, right? You are helping people to build those relationships and use the positive, be aware of what's maybe not so positive that we could do better with, and learn from each other and embrace that. That it was like, oh yeah, that's the most, take the best of the best and
Right.
bless ourselves with it, bless each other. And thank you for doing what you do. So tell me more, like, how are you doing this?
I want to start actually by just thanking you, and it's so it takes a lot and it takes a big heart because you're also in that business of empowering people to have a good life and true life changes, right? So I want to start by saying, it takes a big heart to really look beyond what we know, right? And being culturally sensitive and like you wanted to put it light, but it's actually we are judging each other, and that judgment doesn't help us to move forward. But I always use this word: we all human beings. So let us see a being. So there's a human, there's a being, right? And there's all that the human beings are doing. So let's see the being in the human that we're talking to, and then we can truly get to somewhere that is much safer and better and peaceful and happy. So back to the question you asked me, how am I doing it? So how I'm doing it is, I believe that every day we come out, we meet people, human beings. And I love meeting human beings. I just, that's how we met. I just love being in the midst of other beings. That's my joy. And when you are there with open mind, you just want to relate. You just want to get to know this person. And that's the only thing that you have to reach those you want to reach, to do the impact, to make the impact that you seek to make in the world. And so what I do is, regardless of where I find myself, I start small. So I talk to people. From the conversation, I get to know if there is something we can share, something we can learn. Anyhow, we can make somebody feel lighter at the end of that meeting. Another thing I'm doing is um, I have Zoom events where I try to do it monthly or every 2 months, and people sign in and log in, and we talk about our marriages. We talk about our relationships. So I give some talks depending on the topic that I pick. And my vision in the future is that sometimes people can also bring the topics they want us to delve into, and we talk about it. And when I finish giving my own take, um, from my life experiences, from all I have seen, observations and others, and all I've read and researched, I get to get people bring their own input or ask questions, and through it we learn. So that's what at this point that I'm doing. I also have done some in-person, which of course takes some planning and need some funding for that. So, which is my next level that I want to get into a little deeper. If when I, start applying for some funding that will help to support that, because it's good that we meet this way through social media, which is a very big way of reaching millions of people in the world. It still doesn't take away, you know, the human warmth, right? I will call it the human warmth. So I'm looking forward to getting more of that, and also connecting with people, like you, Dina, that have given me the opportunity to use your platform to reach out to people. And I'm hoping to also get into like the social media, YouTube, have a channel, my Facebook, and hoping to update it. And hopefully all the people that you have here can join me. We are an organization, Farm Unity, and Instagram and other platforms. So that's what I'm doing at this point. That's how I'm reaching out to people.
And
And
we will
this is
share
my life.
that information in the show notes so people can just click on the links and follow your journey, contact you, and get in touch with you. I'm curious to know. Uh, so I'm going to comment first on this, on the human being part, because you've heard me speak where I really try and remind people, and this will be at a business conference, and I'll say, we consider the value that people have, what value are they to me as a client, what value, numerically and all this, what is their human value? And I really encourage people to just pause and consider a couple things, that things are not always the way they appear and that everybody has a story. So don't make assumptions and judgments. Stop and pause, connect with them on a human level and consider their human value. And I just applaud you for how you are, that's the basis of this heart-centered help that you are offering people. Is we're all humans. Let's be human together. Let's be around these other beings. Let's get to know them and help them and support each other. So we will share that. Now, I'm curious about the Zoom events you have. What are some of the questions that people bring? What are some of the more common themes and questions that you hear that you discuss and help people through?
Um, one of the big one, like one of the big one be, I would say difference in opinion. So difference in opinion in that it comes from the cultural, I would say cultural adjustment that especially the men, right? The men struggle a lot to let go certain things they've known all their life.
Right.
So, because like growing up, your parents, even up till now, right, we are the role models to our kids. Right? So, what they see is what they do more, not really what we say to them. It's what they see. So, I
Mm-hmm.
call it they download whatever you are doing. I
Yes.
like to use that word
Yeah.
download because we're in the computer
Yeah.
age now.
The computer
So,
age. Yeah.
so, so, so they download what they see every day, not what you're telling them not to do. And so when they grow up and what they watch is, and I think it's the same thing too with most of the culture all around the world until in the Western world, start bringing a lot of laws and things into place to streamline it and make sure that at least the women are given some rights and opportunity to do certain things. But most of our men, they grew up in a place where they watch what their father, did. So, and what did the man do? What the man does. So the woman, take care of the home, the man provide the money and all the things that are needed and take care of the family and all that, whatnot, right? Whereas here, the man is working, the woman is working. So it's kind of if anybody have listened to Miles Monroe, it's kind of into this where he talked about role confusion,
Mm-hmm.
right? So somehow this role confusion, there are a lot of roles that are clear, but there are some roles that are now merged together. And so the struggle is who does what, and then the way the words are being put out to who is to do what,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for most of the conversation is around the men, most of our men want to do things the way it's being done back home. And like I said there are two different cultures here at play. So it's not about discarding anything that you know, it's about how can you modify some of it to make your life here easier or vice versa. So I think most of the conversation is around how do we work together? How do we get my partner, my husband, or my wife to understand that this is the way this thing is happening? Let's say is kids needing um, babysitting. I mean, from the word go, it's always been women that are looking after children.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't think it's specific to my culture. So
No.
I want to use that as an example. So maybe all the time you were living in that other country, and also, when I'm talking, this is not only in relation to African countries, is also like any place that is in a communal, collective communal way of living, they have that kind of situation. So now when you come all your life, let's say you turn 40 or 50, 40 in your country, and you got married and you have family and you have maids. When I say maids, it's the people that help you in the house that you pay and they support you and your wife, or you have family members. And now you come here, it's just you, your wife,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids. So it speaks for itself that they are truly, there's a lot of work to come to communicate and said, okay, now we have our children, who stays home, who goes to work, how do we juggle taking them to school, taking them to sports, who is taking them to this babysitting or daycare, who is picking this person. So all that is a lot of work. And because we've not taken time, some people don't really take time to study this. We take time to go to school, we take time to learn our career, we take time to study other things. But for me, I always say what matters most is this relationship we build. That's why two of us are into this relationship and life-changing business
Yeah.
or calling to help people, right? So we're not taking time, giving it our energy to sit down and really analyze and say, what is really going on here? What is at play? Right? Is it about my partner? Is it that my wife has changed? Like we usually use that word, you have changed, right?
Yeah.
Or is it that my husband, you know, so or is it that my husband has changed? Did he just turn and become this, person that I think is not supportive, is not helping? But no, it's also all that adjustment that was not, we did not sit down to look at it. And there is no way of letting people know this prior to their moving to any new location in this
Mm-hmm.
life. Right. So that's one of the biggest main questions they ask. And then the financial part of it, because again, most of the decisions are made a lot by the men. They also do with their wife most time, but they have the final say of that for the most part. So now you come to a place where you are making money, he's making money, and you're saying, can we talk about it? And the man is feeling like you're about to take away the power and the energy and all they have learned in their life. You're about to take it, or you're about to let them um, shift from it. So it takes a lot of mental work to come to terms and say, you know what, this is the right thing to do. We can talk about it. We
Yeah.
can decide how we want to do it. We can let what we do, where we're coming from, be. But let's work together and do it. So sometimes there's such questions too, and it's an ongoing work. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's really not a work. I will not say that I have one answer to it. It's the issue of finances and how to manage it and how to, some couple might have a good grip over it
Mm-hmm.
and some couple are still struggling with it, and I'm sure it's the same right across all cultures
Yeah.
in this world and all communities, right? So it's questions like that do come up a lot, and we keep walking through it, and I usually would say it's a work in progress. The biggest thing is communicating, listening, and how are you communicating and when are you communicating and where are you communicating? Right?
So important. People are disconnected in so many ways, and to communicate and not just assume, okay, we've looked after finding a job or finding a home and the all the changes that come with life. But are we talking about that relationship, that primary relationship within the home, and how we're dividing up our, um, the tasks that are part of life, instead of just assuming that it's just going to sort itself out. Nobody will be resentful about what happens and it'll just be fine. But no, just pausing to recognize that a, some clear communication and around expectations around would what you would like to be a part of and which parts aren't as much of your interest that you could use some support in. Amazing. It is really, it is very encouraging. What else have you got going on that you're creating around this message?
What I'm creating around this message is, you know, we all came from a family, every one of us, every human being. And what we've learned in our families are what shaped us, and then the experiences around us. Now, we cannot talk about having a good relationship in life without resolving some of the baggages we are carrying from
Mm,
our childhood experiences, our experiences outside our family, experiences from our friends. And when we bring it into relationship and we start having children, the tendency is that the energy that those past hurts and pains that we have will trickle itself into this our new family and impact the way we show up in the life of our kids. It's not something that we can overlook. So I'm thinking, and one of the approach that I love to use is truly human. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is making some peace with what has happened in our life. Now, you're not excusing somebody who hurt you, no. You're not excusing that something didn't go well at some point, somewhere, somebody maybe maltreated you, maybe somebody was so mean, maybe somebody have said something against you that wasn't true. No, you're not excusing that, but you are choosing to show up more positively and happier you.
mm,
So then you will show up with positive energy, with good vibe, with good presence and feeling inner peace. And when you have that, I like to use this word, you radiate it to your kids
yes.
and it radiates to those around you, wherever you meet. It will be like there's a flow of peace that you elicited to that person. In your work area, it will be shown. You don't have to talk about it. You just show up yourself, both your your very good self and your not so good self, right? So that's the message I'm passing. So that looking at it from this angle, the generation we are producing will now keep getting better. Like they will be good at relationship, how they form their relationship, how they show up in their own life. Because the kids that are 1 year old today, in the next 10 years, will be 10 or 11, will be 11, right? And those kids in the next 30 years will be 31. And you have set of adults again. So
Mm-hmm.
it's how do we mitigate and how do we impact people? How do I impact people so that their children will show up much better like me? My desire is that my son will show up much better, much easier, relatable, see the world for what it is. I see the world that this world we're just here temporarily. So whatever we do, we put in our best. In wherever we find ourselves, we show up and be present in that place. And if we can do this from our family and raise kids, the most part, reasonable number, in good percentage that are like that, then we will get a much peaceful and better world. That is the whole idea. We are in a global association right now, right? The world is a
Mm,
global platform. So the child you raise here can go and marry somebody way in Asia, somebody way in Africa, So how you raise them will determine how they and their own generation are going to show up. And that is the bulk of what I'm hoping to achieve. That if I can reach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 families or people, and they show up that way, their kids, and these kids grow up, being much better than them, those kids will raise kids that are much better, and our world will be much peaceful and much happier.
And you definitely live that, Stella. You radiate that peace and that love, and it's very evident. So that is how you are encouraging everyone else then, by creating those types of environments where we can really become more aware of the impact that we're capable of. We will definitely, I will add contacts in the show notes so people can reach out. They can find you if they would like to join in with your Zoom meetings and whatever else that you create that's available to help support and encourage them. Just a beautiful work you're doing. Thank you, Stella, so much for being a guest. Is there one parting little thought or a mantra, something that you like to share with people that just gives them either a ray of hope or encouragement, or just a little reminder that they're human? What's your go-to for a piece of advice?
Thank you, Dina. You're such a lovely person. And wow, it's just the universe, right? You reach out
Universe. Yeah.
and you connect. And yeah, no, it's been great. And we have a lot to do. Yeah, one thing I want to say here is, could we look beyond colors? These are
Ooh, yes.
identities that um we have all been given, and some of them we cannot help ourselves. Um, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a girl, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm a Christian, I'm not a Christian. These are all identities. On our professional world, we take all of them too as identity. But the truth is, before those identities, we were human beings. After those identities, we are still human beings, which means somebody gives birth to us. And when we show up so pure and so supple and so loving, right? No blemish. We show up. And then, we are shaped. Whatever we grew up, we're shaped. And then when we get to the end of our life, we go with nothing too. We don't go with any identity,
That's
even though
right.
when they are reading our, what is that they read when we die, right?
Yeah.
Is it? So when they start reading it, they will say what we have achieved, but what they usually pay attention to is how we have reached others, how we have impacted positively others, how we have touched lives. That is what is mostly read and talked about. They don't go saying that, she was a nurse or they might say, but it's transitory. There's no substance really
Right.
given to it. What is giving substance is what you have done in the life of others. So I will say, wherever you are from, whoever you are, please take one thing today. Look beyond colors, look beyond identity. Reach the human person you are seeing. You never know what you can gain out of it. And I do believe that 2024 will work out well for all of us in our different endeavors and our relationships. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate
Thank you for
sharing with
being here and to encourage us to consider what our legacy will be and how we impact others.
Thank you, Dina.
Hopefully, you heard something today that helps you wherever you might be in life. Do you have questions or a suggestion for a topic you want to know more about? Let me know. Check the show notes for all the contact information. Follow this podcast and find us on social. Know anyone who might find this information helpful? Be a friend and share it. And hey, Thank you for hanging out with me today. Keep smiling that beautiful smile. The world needs your sunshine. It means a lot that you spend this time with us and meet our experts and professionals who can help you through whatever life changes you're facing. Please refer to our terms of service available on our website, lifechangesmag.com. The link is in the show notes. Our disclaimer: Divorce Magazine Canada, Life Changes Magazine and channel, and divorce resource groups are intended to educate and provide quality, credible resource information. The contents should not be used as factual until consultation with the appropriate professionals for any guidance. Divorce Magazine Canada, Life Changes Magazine, and Life Changes channel, as well as the divorce resource groups, do not constitute endorsements for, nor liability for any claims made in the presenting of this information.